Brooklyn-bound local train is now arriving. Please stand away from the platform edge, especially when trains are entering and leaving the station.
I'm taking videos, by the way.
It's always so funny that
Hello! Welcome to episode 12 of the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast. My name is Jacqueline. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, and Pinterest as @JacquelineSalem. Show notes for this podcast can be found in the down bar below or on the Ravelry group, which is the Brooklyn Knitfolk podcast. It'd be great if you wanted to join us. That's where I post all, like I said, the show notes and then information about different events and giveaways that are going on all the time. So if this is your first time watching the podcast, hello. And if this is a second or third or you've been watching from the get-go, then thanks so much for coming back. It's been a week since I was supposed to record, but I was out of town last weekend at the Washington County Farm and Fiber Tour, which was so much fun. I'm not going to talk about everything related to the Farm and Fiber Tour in this podcast video. Instead, I'm going to upload a separate video, kind of like a vlog that I make. I have a Brooklyn Knitfolk in the Wild series, which thank you for your feedback about your ability to either watch or not be able to watch it. I'm pretty sure that the music copyrights are what's kind of keeping me from keeping people from being able to watch it. So for future vlogs, I will not be using copyrighted music and just using free music, which sucks because I like to introduce people to cool songs, but it is what it is, and I realize that artists have to make money off of their songs too. So anyway, I will be making a separate video for the Washington County Farm and Fiber Tour, which you are more than welcome to check out. If it's not already uploaded, it should be uploaded at least within a week or so. So let's go ahead and get to the projects. I feel like I have a lot to show you guys this time. The first thing I have is a finished object, and I finished this actually the same week that I finished the last podcast. My friend Katrina, who is the genius behind Cat's Kettle yarns and also the host of the Yarn 30 podcast, dyes the most gorgeous yarn. And recently she dyed a colorway called Petit Fours, which is this beautiful peach with flecks of brown, cranberry. There's even some green and neon yellows. It's kind of, I don't know if you can see that. It was gorgeous. I fell in love immediately. And when she sent me a skein of it, I had to cast it on immediately. And I've never really been like that excited about a colorway before. I mean, I get excited about, you know, yarn and projects and stuff, but not in the way that I was excited about this colorway. So I searched for patterns on Ravelry and decided on the lovely Eyelets shawl. It's a paid for pattern by Michelle Krause, and this is the finished object. It needs to be reblocked. I've had it folded, so it's kind of like crinkly here, but you get the general gist of it. I just wanted something that was going to show off the yarn, and it's a garter stitch shawl with an eyelets edge. And I thought that because the yarn is so speckled that this would just be the best way to show it off. And I didn't want to make socks because, as you'll see with my lack of progress on the Fine and Dandy socks, I just haven't been feeling like making socks. I really liked the first one I made. Anyway, we'll get into that. Lovely eyelet shawl. And this is it. It was a one skein project, and obviously I won't give away too much about the pattern, but it was knit from the corner edge down to the eyelets. I'm not sure if there's a name for that, but that was the technique used. So if you're a person who likes the idea of shawls, but doesn't like knitting the super long back and forth rows, a construction like this would be perfect for you because the rows never get, I mean, the last ones obviously are a little bit long, but nothing like the 400 stitch counts that you would get going back and forth across, you know, larger shawls. So this would be a great first shawl pattern. It's garter, so it's just knitting back and forth. I love it. I love the color. It's a one skein project. And the other thing I really loved about this pattern, I'll put it on so you can see it, but the other thing that I really loved about this pattern is that it helps you use literally like every ounce of yarn that you have by weighing the skein on a scale as you're knitting it and then telling you when to start the eyelet section based on how much yarn you have left over. So that's why I have hardly anything left. So this will be just enough to knit into my Cozy Memories blanket. So I'm really pumped about that. I like using everything that I have for a project, and so this was perfect for that. This is going to be a gift. I won't say for who, but yeah, I just love it so much. So Katrina, if you have not bought any of Katrina's yarn before, what are you doing? Because Petit Fours in particular, I'm just so obsessed. I mean, I like a lot of her colorways, but Petit Fours is just beautiful. Get some close-ups there. So yeah, this is the lovely eyelet shawl. First finished object. Oh, and I knit this on size 6 Hiya Hiya needles. Of course, when I started this project and, you know, searched forever to find the right one, I have every needle size. Like, I'm a fairly new knitter, started at the end of last summer, and I had every needle size from 0 to 12, except for size 6, which is what this shawl called for. So in desperation, I had size 6 on a 16-inch cable, so I knit as far as I could go with that because I had that needle size for a hat, and then in the interim bought the Hiya Hiya 40-inch cable. But I just thought that was funny. I was like so desperate to cast on this colorway that I had to use the 16-inch cable that wouldn't fit just until I could get myself through to get the longer cable. My next, it's kind of is a half object, a hoe. This is living in my new project bag that I got at the Washington County Farm and Fiber Tour. Fernanda, who is made by Fee on Instagram and Ravelry. I'm not sure if she has an Etsy shop or not though. She made everybody who went to the getaway these cute project bags in a bunch of different colors. Isn't this, or not colors, but fabrics. Isn't this adorable? These cute little cats. I'm so stereotypical right now. Knitter with the cat bag, but you know what? I don't care. So my next project, my hoe, living in this bag, and I was inspired by, I'm sure you guys have seen the Yarn Enabler's Pencil Socks yarn that she dyes, and she has a pattern that she releases with it. My sister's birthday is today actually, and these are going to be for her birthday, but I just didn't want something that would take that long. I've made everybody in my family except for myself the Simple House Slippers by Temple of Knit, and so I just thought that that would be faster than knitting the socks, which it is. It really takes like maybe 3 or 4 hours to make one for me, and I'm not a super fast knitter. So this is the pattern Simple House Slippers by Temple of Knit. It's a free pattern. I'll have all the links in the show notes for you to go check it out. And I used 4 different colors of yarn. Let me get those out actually, I'll show you. The first one is this pink, which is Patons Glam Stripes in Coral. It's an acrylic polyester blend. The gray is Patons Classic Wool DK Superwash in dark gray heather, 100% wool. The gold is again Patons DK Classic Wool Superwash in gold, 100% wool. And then this was gifted to me by my friend Renee, who gave me a bunch of minis when I had my call for minis for my Cozy Memories blanket. And it's a 50-50 blend of alpaca and merino, I think. No, alpaca and wool. and it's just Berroco Ultimate Alpaca. And so I essentially just kind of put these together in such a way that would resemble a pencil. And you're thinking maybe that this eraser is huge, but when you have it on your foot, you can only see, you know, like a little portion of it, so it's not as proportionally unsound as it may look here. But that's the one, and then I'm almost finished with the second one. I just have a few more rows to go on the gold part before I switch to this kind of oatmeal color and then the tip of the pencil. So yeah, love this pattern. This is my third pair now that I've made, and I hopefully will make some for myself at some point. I have yarn already picked out for it, some marled black and white and some red to make like a sock minky version for myself. So yeah, I will definitely finish these today so I can get them in the mail by Monday, because my sister's birthday, like I said, is today. But I was only just struck by the idea a couple days ago, and I was like, perfect, because she's a teacher. I didn't mention that, but I've mentioned that before in the podcast, but she is a teacher, so it's even more appropriate for her. Super quick project, definitely recommend it. Like I said, it's my third pair that I've made. And with that, I guess we're moving on into works in progress. Take a sip. So, socks, as I just mentioned. I knit one sock for Candace's Stripey Socks cowl, and I didn't even get one sock finished in my own cowl. It's really pathetic. I know it. I'm embarrassed, you guys. I'm embarrassed. But it's not that I dislike the pattern. I do not. I like it, and I love the yarn, and I love the way that it looks. This literally has zero progress from the last time I showed you. The problem is that I have just really been wanting to knit some shawls that I've had in my queue since last year, and I just have been wanting to knit those more than I've been wanting to knit this. So this has kind of gone into a little bit of a hibernation. I've not finished it in time for my own cowl, as I didn't even finish one sock, but I still really do want these socks, so I will finish knitting them. You can hold me accountable to that. But just to recap, the heels, cuffs, and toes are Koigu Painter's Palette Premium, and they don't name their colorways, so I can't tell you exactly what it's called, but I'll put it in the show notes, the number, and it's like this orange pink. And then the body yarn is stitched together in the colorway Crazy Cat Lady on the Spark Sock base. And it's just this really cool kind of creamy pinks with orange and, ooh, knocking my stuff over, and these flecks of kind of green here. So yeah, these have gone into a hibernation. They will come back out. I have brought them with me on the Farm and Fiber Tour retreat, and as I was, showing them to people, because people wanted to see them, who watched the podcast at least, and their enthusiasm about the sock has like reinvigorated my enthusiasm about the sock, so they've been on my mind. I just had to finish other things first, like those slippers for my sister's birthday and stuff. So I will get back to them, but in the meantime, that's what they are. Oh well. And with that, today is the last day of the Fine and Dandy Sock Cowl. So today is the last day, and by the time this episode uploads, it will probably be too late to enter more finished objects, but I'll just say I'll close the thread tomorrow night on the 1st at midnight. So you have an extra day to go get your finished objects in the FO thread. I will be pulling one prize from the FO thread and another prize from the chatter thread. The prize for the chatter thread is going to be this skein of yarn from the Fawn and the Fox Etsy shop, and that's from Laura of the Fawn Knits podcast, which is one of my personal favorite podcasts. And this is on her Raven base in the Terrarium colorway, and this is the colorway that she knit the Fine and Dandy socks on for the test knit for the pattern, which is called, again, the Fine and Dandy Socks, and the pattern designer is Jess, who is the Sweater Co. on Instagram and Ravelry, and she has a lot of other beautiful patterns. And then the prize for the finished objects thread comes from Jess herself, who's the pattern designer, who has donated this lovely prize package that has a skein of Miss Click Clack, is that what it's called? Yeah, Miss Click Clack hand-dyed yarns. It's this lovely blues with reds and kind of periwinkle colors in it. It's just gorgeous. The colorway is called Fenwick Street Flash Merino, I believe. Or is that the base? Yeah, I think it's called Fenwick Street Flash Merino. 85-15 Superwash Extra Fine Merino and nylon. So it'd be perfect for another pair of socks for the nylon content. And then also in her prize package is a bunch of lovely tees and some mini skeins. So this will be for the finished objects thread, and the skein of the Fawn and the Fox yarn will be from the chatter thread. So I will pull those prizes, close the threads at tomorrow at midnight, and let you guys know who won by ear burning you on Ravelry. So good luck and get your objects in threads. And thank you again for being such wonderful co-knitters on this knit-along. It's my first knit-along that I've hosted, and I co-hosted that with Amber of the Yarn Junkie podcast. So many beautiful objects in the thread, you guys. It's hard to pick my favorite one, but I do have to say I really, really, really love the gradient yarn that Charlotte of the Charlotte and Gus podcast used in hers. But go check out the finished objects thread. There's so many gorgeous variations of the fine and dandy socks. I really do think that the speckled yarns and variegated yarns really shine with this pattern because the flower stitch, I'll just show you this while I'm talking to you about it. The flower stitch really pulls out the variegations in the yarn. So if you are on the fence about knitting it and still want to knit it in the future, that would be my recommendation, is to use those special speckled skeins that you don't know what to do with. Would be perfect for a fine and dandy sock project. And so yeah, thank you so much for everyone who's knit the fine and dandy socks. I will ear burn you if you've won the prize. And speaking of prizes, I meant to do this at the beginning, but I forgot. The Engelbrett Makes project bag. I'm not going to take the winners out of the bag because I want to leave it in as good a condition as possible. But this is what the bag looks like. It's this super cute porcupine bag, purple bottom and contrasting with the hedgehog fabric. This super cute stitch marker, and it has pockets. What more could you ask for in a project bag? And it's huge. This holds 4 skeins of yarn and my project for a shawl that's about halfway done. So gives you a concept of its size. The prompt in the giveaway thread for this bag was, what's on your travel bucket list? And the winner of the thread was post number 90, and that was Sergeant Griff's Girl, who said, I am dreaming of an Alaskan cruise. So maybe you'll take this with you on your future Alaskan cruise someday, Jessica, because I think that was her name. Did I write it down? No, I didn't. I'm pretty sure your name was Jessica. I'm sorry if I'm wrong about that. But it's Sergeant Griff's Girl. And yeah, so maybe you'll be taking this with you on your future Alaskan cruise, you know? So congratulations to the winner of this beautiful Engelbrett Makes project bag. If you haven't checked out her shop, please do. Her bags are so affordable, and she also makes like quilts and other things that are extremely affordable as well. All right, the next work in progress is in this bag, so I guess I don't have to put it away. And it is my Pacific Northwest inspired exploration station. So I didn't make a ton of extra progress on this because by the time I finished the last wedge in the first kind of portion of the shawl, that's right before I got to the brioche, and I was about to go on this farm and fiber tour where I didn't have, or not that I didn't have access to it, but I didn't want to be spending my time watching tutorials and practicing brioche. So it's only up to the last wedge. So I'm literally about to start the brioche, but I need to watch some videos, and I know Mina Phillip of the Knitting Expat podcast has an excellent tutorial on brioche, which I started watching, seemed pretty clear, but I just want to go back and watch it again just to be sure. So this is what it looks like so far. The colors, I went over them in detail and their fiber contents on previous podcasts, but just really quick. Skeiny dipping in the light hearth colorway. All these are fingering weight yarns. Color B, Wool and Vine Yarns, Venus Flytrap. Color C, Hedgehog Fibers, Skinny Singles in Urchin. And color D is Wool and Vine Yarns in Succulents. So those are the 4 colors that I'm using. And I just love how they are playing off of each other in this shawl. The 2 colors that I'll be using for the brioche section are Venus Flytrap and Urchin. So that's the next part for the brioche. And I think I'm gonna make the green the dominant featured color with this as the recessive. Super excited. Love the colors, love how it's turning out. And like I said, I'm kind of inspired by the Pacific Northwest with this color palette. It feels like a rainy, woodsy feel to me. I don't know, that's just what I get from it. So lovely, so lovely. I did make a mistake in this last wedge with how many stitches I was supposed to use before I wrapped and turned it, so it's not quite as thick as it should have been, but by the time I noticed, I was like literally almost at the end. So I didn't rip it back, and I just kind of corrected the stitch count by adding some yarn overs. Not yarn overs, just I don't even know why I said I didn't add any stitches really. I just kind of like went with it, and it'll be less stitch count with brioche whenever I start that. So hopefully that won't screw things up when I start with that next section. So yeah, that's Exploration Station by Stephen West. I was knitting it on size 5 needles, but since I then had purchased the size 6 for the lovely Eyelets shawl, I have now switched to the size 6 needles, the 4 yarns. Anything else I want to mention about this? No? I love this shawl. I can't wait to have it done. This is going to be kind of like a priority before I can cast on any other things, because I have another work in progress that I've cast on, but there are so many more that I want to, so this one's got to be a priority to get done. The next work in progress, everyone's been going crazy over their sock yarn blankets, and seeing everyone else do it, I'm just like, oh, I really want to work on my blanket. So Shannon of the Socksetra podcast has been hosting the Blanket Blitz Cal, where you basically just knit as little or as much as you want on your sock yarn blanket, or knit a small miniature things. And the pattern I've been using is one that I just kind of like made up essentially. I know that other people are probably doing log cabin. I've seen other log cabin blankets before, but I just kind of made up my own recipe, and you can download it for free on Ravelry if you're interested in making one for yourself. And I've kind of gone over the pros and cons in previous podcasts. Not the cons really, because I don't see any, obviously, since I like it, but the pros of knitting a log cabin style blanket is that you can use your super small leftovers of yarn in the smallest squares and your largest ones in the larger rectangles. And you can also use anything from lace to a worsted weight yarn. I don't think you could use bulky with this. I don't think that would work. But I've been using anything from lace to bulky, or lace to light worsted. That was the first one that I did. This was the second one that I did. These are all previous things, not things I've done since the Blanket Blitz Cal. Oops, yeah, that's the right way. I just love making these kind of color stories too. This one I was just inspired by, like, it's still winter, but pops of green and spring want to happen. I was making this probably around January, I think, maybe February. And then this one is my latest edition that I've been working on this week. And this one's just all neutral goodness. I kind of went through my mini stash and pulled out a selection of these lovely neutrals that are appealing to me, and they're all going to fall out probably with me turning my little bowl this way, but Most of these were from Olivia of This Handmade Life. She has a beautiful Instagram feed and blog, you guys, so definitely check that out. So this kind of selection of minis, and just kind of been picking and choosing along the way which ones I wanted to use. I don't know the colorway names of any of these, she didn't say, but that's not really that important to me. This one's my Woolfolk though, from my Void shawl, and this is Urchin that I'm using in my Exploration Station shawl. But I just love it so much. It's almost inspired me to do my entire blanket out of only neutrals, but I haven't fully committed to that yet. At the very least, I would like to alternate a neutral square with a bright square with a neutral square and then a dark square again. So at the very least, that's what I want to do, but I don't have that many neutral mini skeins. So again, if you guys have tons of neutral color mini skeins that you're willing to get rid of, send me a message on Ravelry. I'll be happy to take them off of your hands, but no pressure. But if you guys have them, let me know, because I'll definitely take some from you. And yeah, that's my my contribution to my Cozy Memories blanket. For now, I've been addicted again, so I want to keep making more of them. But yeah, I want to seam them together to see how they look. I just haven't done that yet. But yeah. I knit mine on size 4 needles for any weight of yarn that I use. That kind of gives me the most consistent fabric. But I really need to get some different needles because everything catches on this cable right here in the join. So I should just get like a really nice pair of 16-inch circulars and use them only for my Cozy Memories blanket. So I'll definitely get some Addies or Hiya Hiyas because those are my personal favorites. That's the Cozy Memories work in progress. The next work in progress is a new one, which you've heard me talk about, but I have not cast it on until now. So one of the perks of being at this Farm and Fiber tour was that I had the benefit of being around people with eons more knowledge and experience than me. So when I saw that this was a cabling project, I bought the pattern and looked at it. I was like, this will be perfect for me to take with me so that I can get some help. Not only as I around more experienced knitters, but the organizer of the Farm and Fiber tour, who is Sarah Pomegranate. She's Sarah of the Yarns at Yinhu podcast. She had just finished knitting this shawl called the Hetty Shawl by Isolde T. It's a paid-for pattern on Ravelry. I'll put in a picture of the full thing here so you can see it. But this is how far I am. I'm just loving the Brooklyn tweed in this, you guys. The stitch definition is amazing. The sample of the pattern is knit in Madeline Tosh. I think Madeline Tosh worsted or something, I'm not exactly sure. But when I saw the pattern, to me, a more rustic yarn just really seemed to fit, in my opinion, so that's what I did. I'll show you the cake. This is Brooklyn Tweed Shelter in the Hayloft colorway. And the other color I will be using is going to be Barn Owl for the contrasting colors. So essentially the same colors that she knit in her sample, just a more rustic yarn as opposed to something like a Madeline Tosh, which is like it's merino, but I don't know, it just doesn't look as rustic. I don't have the words for it, honestly. So yeah. I think this will be beautiful together. So far, I'm loving the result. I probably would have knit on this more, except the cable needle that I had was a super slick metal one, and Jenny, my friend, who is Salmon Knits, not Jenny from Tiny Paper Foxes, but a different Jenny, she let me borrow her cable needle, which is this plastic one from Clover, actually. And it was like perfect for the job. So I ordered some of these and they just came in yesterday. So I'm excited to be able to get back to knitting this. And I'm gonna knit it much larger than the pattern calls for. I'm gonna incorporate 10 extra repeats of the different charts so that I can make it bigger. Because I prefer bigger shawls personally. So I'll just show that to you one more time. This loveliness. And once I knit the border, you pick up the stitches and then knit the interior section. Sorry for all the clanging of the needles. So yeah, that's the Heady shawl by Isolde Teague. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry, and I'm knitting that on size 7 Addy Turbo lace tips, which are a tie for my favorite needles. And that's the Heady shawl. So those are all my works in progress right now. I do have a lot. The blanket, of course, is on and off, and the socks will go in hibernation. So technically I have the Heady shawl and the exploration station. And the reason I haven't cast on all the things like I've been wanting to is because there's a new cal that I'm going to be hosting, and it's called the Summer Lovin' Cal. I'm co-hosting it with Katrina of the Yarn 30 podcast and also the dyer behind Cat's Kettle Yarns. And the idea is that you knit anything that's kind of like a warm weather knit. And it starts tomorrow, which is soon, I know, but we just haven't, I wanted to announce it earlier but hadn't been able to film it because of the Farm and Fiber tour. But it's called the Summer Lovin' Cal. It's a warm weather knits type of thing, so you can knit with cotton yarns, you could make a tank top, you could knit with really bright warm colors. Really, we're open to any suggestions on how you can make this a summer lovin' warm weather seasonal type of cal. So we're excited. We'll hope you will join us. I'll have all of the information in a group on my group on Ravelry, and yeah, with all the details. And the thing I'm going to be knitting is the beach tank. So the beach tank is a pattern by Jess Schreiberstein. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but she's the Kitchen Witch on Instagram. I'll leave all of the information, of course, in the show notes. So I'll insert a picture here of the beach tank. It's a tank top that's knit in pieces, and it's held double with 2 DK yarns. One is in the sample at least, a cotton yarn, and the second one is a 50-50 silk and alpaca. So I've been debating about what to do. Well, I guess I'll show you the linen and cotton first. So I already had this black cotton linen yarn in stash. Someone destashed it to me in a swap. So I already had this at my disposal. And I was like, I could definitely hold this double with a white yarn and do a black and white marled tank top. I think that would look super cool. So I knew what color I wanted to do. The next order of business though was that the sample used a 50-50 blend of silk and alpaca, and I'm very itchy. Alpaca makes me very itchy. But I didn't know if it was because of the quality of the alpaca that I've used in a previous thing, because it was just like a Bernat alpaca, so maybe if I ordered a better quality alpaca, that the micron count wouldn't make me as itchy if it was better quality. So I was going to order some from Knitpicks because they were having a sale, the Diadem DK. It's like a 50-50, again, just silk and alpaca. So it was exactly what the Kitchen Witch called for. Sorry, the Kitchen Witch is her name on Instagram. Jess Schreiberstein is her name in real life. So the pattern designer used that exact fiber content in her sample, but I was worried about the itchy factor. I checked out the Diadem on Ravelry, and it had like basically all negative reviews about how it was the most sheddy yarn they've ever worked with. It split like crazy, so I was like, well, guess that's not gonna work. So I kind of put it on the back burner because I was going on the Farm and Fiber tour. And then on the Farm and Fiber tour at Foster Farm, I found this Berroco remix. The yarn it's a crazy blend, 100% recycled fibers, 30% nylon, 27% cotton, 24% acrylic, 10% silk, and 9% linen. Seemed like it would be the perfect mixture because other people had knit the pattern on the project pages with 2 cotton blend yarns. So I was very excited, bought 3 of these at Foster Sheep Farm, and then came home to discover that Jess is hosting a knit-along for her beach tank, actually, like right now. It's already just started. And she has some notes on a blog post about it, and she does not recommend using 2 cotton blend yarns together because they stretch and it creates kind of more like a fishnetty type of fabric, and that the wool content of the alpaca silk blend was kind of what kept it together. And I was like, well crap, so that's not gonna work, so I'm gonna have to order something else. But I didn't really have the luxury of time on my side with wanting to start with, you know, May 1st for this cowl to, you know, buy and test out to see if the alpaca would work and make a swatch. So instead, all of this story to say, I did order from Knitpicks, but I got their gloss DK, which is a 70% merino, 30% silk blend. So it still has the silk, so hopefully we'll have, you know, that kind of sheen to it. I just don't know if the alpaca is going to affect the drapiness of it. Hopefully the silk content will make up for that in some way, but I just didn't want a chance at knitting something and just making me itchy, or I would never wear it. So I'll be knitting the beach tank, holding it double with the black and the white. I'm so excited about it. I think it's gonna look really cool when it's done. So I got 4 skeins of the Knitpicks gloss. So yeah, like I said, details about the Summer Lovin' Cowl will be on the Ravelry group, co-hosting that with Katrina of the Yarn 30 podcast. Starts May 1st and will end on June 21st, which is the official first day of summer. So, for example, if you want to make some summer stuff but you're not a sewer, so you can't join some of the other kind of more sewing-oriented summer cowls that are happening right now, this could be a perfect cowl for you. So we hope you will join us. Very low, you know, like, not crazy about rules or anything like that. Basically anything that you can make work for a summer lovin' cowl. Maybe it's reminiscent of a previous summer and it's a yarn that you bought in that summer, you know, whatever. I'm open to hearing your crazy ideas about how to make something a summer lovin' cowl. So we hope you'll join us. I'll be knitting the beach tank and I'm very excited about it. So yay, new cowls. All right, and last but certainly not least, upcoming projects. So, at the Farm and Fiber tour, I feel like I've talked about this a lot, but really there's so much I could be telling you, so watch out for that other video. But Farm and Fiber tour, we stayed in a lodging situation on a convent, actually, at St. Mary's. And St. Mary's on the Hill has baby cashmere goats at their farm. It's super adorable, but the nuns, they all spin. And Mother Superior spins Cormo from Ensign Farm, which is another farm in Washington County. The second I felt this, I knew I had to have it. Cormo is something I really love about the Farm and Fiber tour, was that how much it exposed me to other types of wool beyond just, I feel like so much of what we buy in stores is merino. There's so much more that is out there, just like really exposed me to all these great things. And Cormo is just as soft as merino, but in a different way. It's almost like a velvety texture. Hard to describe. It's denser and more velvety than merino. Not that it's more soft necessarily, but it's just different. But it's just as soft for sure as merino. So Mother Superior spins Cormo. That's her favorite thing to spin. And I bought a lot of it. Yeah, it just keeps coming. There's more. So these skeins are like, it's not as much as it looks. The skeins are super small. Like this one right here has 74 yards in it, and it's one of the bigger ones. So it's not as much as it looks. In total, I've added up everything I have, and it's close to 900 yards of a like worsted and bulky weight yarn. It's pretty evenly spun, pretty consistent, but I would say it's a little bit heavier than worsted, but not quite like super bulky or anything like that in this natural color. This has to be a really special project. I thought for a little bit about splitting it up and using part of it in Melanie Berg's Lanook shawl, but I feel like it would be remiss if I didn't just I want to put it all together in one project. So I've been searching and searching. I thought about doing the Pure shawl by Cabin 4, but that was just like not special enough. I mean, it's a nice pattern, but it's really, really basic. So I went like the complete opposite direction, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to knit Umaro by Jared Flood. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry. A lot of cabling, seed stitch. This one is going to be like, it's going to be a to-do. But I feel like yarn this special deserves a pattern equally as special. So Umaro is a blanket, technically. It's a baby blanket, I think. But what I want to do is turn it into a wrap. So not as many repeats and then make it longer. And that's the yarn. Just this gorgeous cream natural color from St. Mary's on the Hill, 2-ply Cormo, hand spun by Mother Superior of the St. Mary's on the Hill farm. It just like does not get more special than this to me. And especially since this is where we stayed, I think it's just even more special that I have this. So I'm really excited about this purchase. It was ridiculously affordable too. I couldn't believe how fairly inexpensive it was. So yes, I think this will be an Umaro wrap by Jared Flood. So that's coming up. So this kind of gets into acquisitions. I've just been showing them to you along the way. This one, all of the stuff I got from my sister's pencil socks. But the other acquisition that I haven't shown you yet is from Bat & Kill Fiber Mill. And it's kind of a mystery skein. Like, I know with the fiber content, it is a blend of 60% merino and 40% Romney. And this kind of, it's a natural undyed in a gray color. I don't know exactly how much is in it. They were guesstimating that it was about 300 yards, but I'm not entirely sure. And it looks to be kind of like a light worsted weight yarn, but I'm not sure. I should maybe get a wraps per inch tool to see, but I think this is going to go in a Linook shawl, a pattern by Melanie Berg. And I need 2 other colors to go with it, so I'll probably choose 2 other neutrals to pair with this. But again, this is really soft too, but in a more rustic way. So that's one of my favorite things that I learned about this Farm and Fiber tour, is just the exposure to different sheep breeds and what they're like. Just made, you know, I learned a lot. So that's this one. And then the other acquisition is some quilt batting. I just bought this on Amazon to finish up my sister's quilt. You can see that in a previous episode, and I'll show it to you whenever it's finished. But I just needed the batting. It's 100% cotton, so it'll be warm, squishy. So that's what I got. And with that, I think that is all I have for you today. It was a lot. There's a lot of stuff here, but I'm super excited to cast on my projects. Congratulations to the Engelbrett Makes winners. I will pull prizes from the Ravelry threads for the Fine and Dandy Socks Cal. Summer Lovin' Cal starts tomorrow, Warm Weather Knits. We're knitting until June 21st, which is the first day of summer. And I think that's all the reminders I have for you. So with that, have a great weekend. Get out there and craft and make stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!
Let's go! Right on. I'm gonna go sing the best for last.